என்னப்பன் அல்லவா எந்தாயும் அல்லவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா எந்தாயும் அல்லவா பொன்னப்பன் அல்லவா பொன்னம்பலத்தவா பொன்னப்பன் அல்லவா பொன்னம்பலத்தவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா நீ எந்தாயும் அல்லவா என்னப்பன் அல்லவா நீ எந்தாயும் அல்லவா பொன்னப்பன் அல்லவா பொன்னம்பலத்தவா சொப்பனமோ என்றல் அப்பன் திருவருள் சொப்பனமோ என்றல் அப்பன் திருவருள் கற்பிதமோ என்ன அற்புதம் இதுவே ஆடிய பாதனே அம்பலவாணனே ஆடிய பாதனே அம்பலவாணனே.
In the eyes of God, all men are equal. But in the actions of men, some are more equal than others. So somewhere a beginning must be made to banish an ancient curse. In the early 20s, such an effort came under Mahatma Gandhi's leadership. Witness Mr. Gopal Naik.
I recollect the struggle that was called Vaikam Satyagraha, conducted under the guidance of Mahatma Ji, and we had to fight for 12 years. When the proclamation came, it was a great day of rejoicing, since it marked the recognition that all men are equal in the eyes of God.
Sometime or other, the beginning must move a step ahead. Mr. Kelappan.
The Vaikam Satyagraha was for the right of way, and the Guruvayur Satyagraha was the temple entry for all Harijans.
The Vaikam and Guruvayur temple satyagrahas may not be the first examples of resistance to injustice in Indian society, but they represented an organized, cohesive attempt to give the untouchable, the Harijan, the child of God, a place in the sun. Even so, temple entry is but one aspect of a pervasive problem. So Gandhiji fasted against the communal award of 1932. There are walls enough in Hindu society, he reasoned. Fresh ones must not be raised. The Pune Pact and subsequently the Indian Constitution underwrote the Mahatma's concern for Harijan welfare and Harijan equality with others. But laws do not always change the prejudiced mind. Such, in any event, is the experience of Mr. Jeevanlal of the Harijan Sevak Sangh.
पूना पैक्ट जब हुआ तब गांधी जी की आशा ऐसी थी कि ये 10 बरस में अस्पृश्यता उन्मूलन हो जाएगा, लेकिन हमें बड़ा दुख है कि आज़ादी मिली, संविधान बना, उनको सुविधाएं दी गई, लेकिन आज हम हिम्मत से कह नहीं सकते कि सारे देश भर में अछूतपन जो था वो मिट गया। आज भी ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में कई किस्से ऐसे मिलते हैं जिससे देश को शर्म आता है, हमें भी शर्म आती है।
मेरा नाम दशरथ निम्बाजी ताकसांडे, मैं कस्तूरबा हेल्थ सोसाइटी सेवाग्राम में कंपाउंडर हूँ। मेरे से सब लोग जात पात का कोई खास संबंध न रखते हुए दवा वगैरह लेते हैं, मगर आजू बाजू के देहात की परिस्थिति जितनी सुधर जाना चाहिए उस
People do not mind receiving medicines at my hands, but my wife cannot draw water from the well in front of our house.
सामने में एक कुआं है, वो लोग हमें पानी नहीं भरने देते हैं, इसलिए हमें नज़दीक का कुआं छोड़ करके हमें दूर जाना पड़ता है, दूर से पानी लाना पड़ता है। ये एक गांधी जी के गांव में एक लज्जास्पद बात है।
It is a fact that in Gandhiji's lifetime, the spotlight was on Harijan uplift. Acharya Kalelkar.
Untouchability is a sin not only against Hinduism but against humanity itself. Gandhiji did all that he could to persuade the people, and I am very glad and proud that the government in the constitution declared that untouchability is a crime.
But how deep have the constitutional guarantees taken root in Indian life? A Harijan member of the Banadia Gram Panchayat in Madhya Pradesh.
तकलीफ तो सभी बात की तकलीफ क्या कहें हम? तकलीफ तो कोई अभी मेंबर कुर्सी दे दी तो क्या होगा, कोई पाल पे नहीं बैठने दे, कोई छतरंजी पे नहीं बैठने दे, पानी नहीं भरने दे, गाँव का निवान सब बंद कर करके पैसा मत नहीं बनाता है। गवर्नमेंट ने कह दिया कि परेड नहीं है, सबको एक दिन कर दिया और महात्मा जी चले गए, बस हमको तो सब बात का तकलीफ कर दी। जो कोई सरकार हमारा कोई इंतजाम नहीं है, कोई बात ही नहीं है, और तो ऐसे ही बड़े हैं।
Cannot draw water from public tap. Cannot sit on the same mat. Temples, yes, several of them, but not one which would permit a Harijan inside.
7-8 मंदिर है,
एक में भी आपको नहीं जाने देते?
नहीं, आज तक भी नहीं गए कहीं।
घाटों में पानी।
At one end of the scale, the Harijan member of the Banadia Panchayat. At the other, this barber, claiming his own little nest of pride and prejudice in an area of deprivation.
हाँ, तो हरिजन का बाल नहीं बनाओ तुम?
हाँ, हमारे जाति के लोग बंद कर देते हैं।
जाति के लोग क्यों बंद करते?
पहले हमारे बाप दादा ने नहीं बनाते तो हम क्या बनाते?
सरकार से कानून भी बनी क्यों है?
हाँ, वो कानून तो बनाई पर हमें अहंकार है ना, हमारे नहीं बनाते हैं। और हमारे बाप।
Why should I shave any but the members of the higher castes? After all, my forefathers didn't.
Undoubtedly, individual attitudes contribute to a climate of discrimination. Even when public authority intervenes, private squalor continues to exist. Perhaps the kind of work a Harijan is condemned to is a contributing factor to the sense of superiority others maintain.
हमने ये देखा कि अछूतों को अपने धंधे के वजह से भी हीन गिना गया। इसी वजह से हरिजन सेवक संघ का ये एक प्रयास है कि उनको दूसरे धंधों में भेजें और अपने माता पिता के धंधे से दूसरे धंधे भी करने लगे। गांधी जी ने जब ये हरिजन सेवक संघ का काम शुरू किया,
Gandhiji's program was to make people understand that untouchability is a crime and simultaneously improve the educational and economic standards of Harijans.
उनके लिए लायक बनाना जैसे वो समाज में हिल मिल जाए। यहाँ दिल्ली में एक उद्योगशाला है और जहाँ उनमें ये सिखाया जाता है कि दूसरे उद्योगों में, टर्नर में, फिटर में, इलेक्ट्रिक वायरमैन में और दूसरे उद्योगों में कैसे वो समा जाए।
Diversification of work may lead to a change in an inherited pattern of living. It may well be that the respectability of a profession attracts a new kind of outlook. But the process of shift in occupations and the demand for a better deal has its own hazards. Professor M.N. Srinivas.
The Green Revolution, I'm afraid, is going to exacerbate our problems. This has created a demand for intensive labor, and this labor is even today supplied by the caste lower down the caste scale, and this includes a great many Harijans. The Harijans and the other landless castes are demanding increasing wages, as a result of which clashes are occurring between the landowning groups and the landless laborers. We have just heard about the clash which occurred in eastern Tanjore some time ago, and this was a pretty severe clash, and I expect clashes like this to occur in several other parts of the country.
ஐயா நாங்கள் அறிஞனம் தான். என் பேர் மாரியம்மா. இதை மறந்துட்டேன். மாரியம்மா எங்களை பண்ணாத குத்தலாம் பண்ணி எங்களை 44.
We are Harijans. Look at the way we are treated, burnt alive and shot at.
Incidents of unwarranted anger and illegal action against Harijans are not infrequent, like the one in Kanchikacharla village in Andhra Pradesh. Each such incident has a different train of consequences. Some Harijans fight back, some sink into a sullen silence, some seek other escape routes.
ഈ കവുങ്ങോട്ട് ഏകദേശം 4000-ഓളം ഈഴവർ മതപരിവർത്തനം ചെയ്ത ക്രിസ്ത്യാനികളായി അധിവസിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്.
In my village, nearly 4,000 members of the Ezhava community have embraced Christianity.
യാതൊരു അസുഖവും കൂടാതെ മൈത്രിയിലാണ് കഴിഞ്ഞു പോരുന്നത്.
That, of course, is one viewpoint, one example of experience. This priest in Jagannath Puri has another perspective.
जी के मंदिर में हरिजनों के जाने के बारे में कोई रोक-टोक तो नहीं है?
कोई पुराना जमाना से आज तक भी कोई शास्त्रीय परंपरा
Hindu tradition does not restrict Harijan entry into temples.
किसी जगह पर जगन्नाथ मंदिर में हरिजन लोग नहीं जा सकेंगे, ऐसा कोई रुकावट नहीं है. कोई ब्राह्मण का भी जितनी अधिकार है, जो हरिजन है ये भी इनका भी इतनी अधिकार है.
हिंदुस्तान के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में जाति भेद के बारे में जो कहा गया है कि जाति भेद को हटाना चाहिए या कम करना चाहिए, तो उस मामले
What are his views on the constitutional guarantees to Harijans?
आजकल हमारा संविधान में जाति भेद के बारे में जो अभिमत प्रदान हुआ है, इस अभिमत हमारा आर्य अभिमत है.
Nothing new about them. They are in keeping with our traditions.
Is it true that some of the Harijans are reluctant to enter a temple?
हरिजन लोगन के भीतर आजकल आप जानते हैं सारा क्यों यहाँ क्या सारा भारतवर्ष में ऐसा है.
Well, it's a kind of fear, I suppose. Maybe because their food habits and the way they live make them feel inferior.
इतना साफ सफाई ये लोग नहीं रहते हैं, इसलिए और खाना पीना में जो सात्विकता रहना चाहिए इतनी सात्विकता इन लोगों का भीतर नहीं हुआ है. तो इसलिए ये लोग सोचते हैं कि हम लोगों को तो इतनी सात्विकता नहीं है, हम लोग मंदिर में जाने के लिए उपयुक्त मान नहीं हुए हैं, इसीलिए ये लोग संकोच करते हैं.
Is the opinion that Harijans live just anyhow at all a myth or an actuality? True, wherever conditions have not changed. A myth wherever a measure of progress has instilled a new confidence. Here are two villagers in Mysore state.
ಈಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಸ್ವರಾಜ್ಯ ಸಿಕ್ಕ ನಂತರ ನಮ್ಮಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಭಾರತ ಸರ್ಕಾರದವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಸಮಾಜ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಸವಲತ್ತು ಕೊಟ್ಟ ಮೂಲಕ ಈಗ 4 ಜನರು.
With the coming of schools and colleges, we even have 4 or 5 Harijan graduates here.
ನಾವು ಕಷ್ಟ ಮಾಡಿ ದುಡಿದಿವಿ.
We worked hard side by side with other communities. We are fairly contented here, and there are no differences between Harijans and caste Hindus.
ಹರಿಜನರು ಇತರರು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ನೋ ಭೇದ ಭಾವ ಏನಿಲ್ಲ.
In some places, the darkness of the past. In some others, the promise which new attention and development brings. Housing, employment opportunities, educational facilities. The state has taken a lead in the advancement of Harijans. Private agencies and reformist organizations are also contributing their share.
करे हाथे कनक
To redress the wrong done over the ages, state policy is directed to protect and nurture Harijan welfare. This, for example, is a specially established training center for the Harijan aspirants to the Indian Administrative Service. But opinions differ on such protection.
Reservations and weightages seem to be early methods to help the backward to help themselves to come forward.
Mr. Gora, an old Gandhiite.
Reservations for a long time will make the reservations a vested interest and it will not help integration.
Principal Borali.
Done by the scheduled caste and the serfdom started in the villages, that cannot be very easily solved unless and until the scheduled caste people are made completely independent, either in separate independent constituency or that they must be given independent things.
The only remedy is to do away with these privileges sometime or other. The only permanent solution will be inter-caste marriage and inter-dining.
Inter-dining and inter-marriage should go together for social integration. Then alone this will be complete. A simple intermarriage will not do and simple inter-dining will not do. Both of them should go together for full social integration.
Do you think legislation will solve this problem?
Oh, no.
A Swamiji of the Ramakrishna Mission.
Solve the problem. Perhaps you need a little bit of legislation, but more than legislation, you need to educate the public. That is, God in every human being, the same God. And there can be no question of anyone being treated as if he were an untouchable. It's absurd, ridiculous.
Orthodoxy is very powerful and we have not yet been able to tackle the orthodoxy. Government can't do it. Whatever government has done has created also vested interest amongst the untouchables. Therefore, it is not the government but the people, the conscience of the people that have got to work.
आपका नाम?
मेरा नाम शीला रानी है. मैं हरिजन बस्ती में रहती हूँ.
My mother intensely desired that I should be an educated person. She managed it somehow and I am now studying for the MA degree at the Banaras Hindu University.
और मैं इसी प्रकार पढ़ती पढ़ती इस समय MA प्रीवियस में काशी हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय में पढ़ रही हूँ.
What do you think the Harijans should do to better their lot by themselves?
A Harijan teacher.
In my opinion, they should labor hard, sincerely and honestly to improve their situations and conditions of life, either in employment or in any field, say education or whatever they like.
Could you elaborate on this point of leadership?
Yes, as I have said earlier, the leadership for the development of any community will be best if the leadership comes from the within. Otherwise, any external agency working on that will not be working in the optimum conditions, in my opinion.
Considering the depth and dimensions of the problem, we have made more than a dent. I think now what really needs to be done is for educated Harijans, their MPs, MLA, etc., to come together and work out programs of mass uplift of their less fortunate brethren. And this task, I am certain, they will have the sympathy and support of every decent citizen.
Sympathy and support of every citizen, and the memory and the example of Mahatma Gandhi.
The answer is that the setting up of a world federation is not the end
or goal of human advance, full stop. That goal we may describe as permitting the expression and the growth of his or her personality, full stop.